Please welcome the Phoenix Boys Choir to start this morning's ceremony. Thank you to the Phoenix Boys Choir for kicking off our event with their beautiful voices and harmonies. At this time, Please welcome Mayor Greg Stanton and City Council members. Also joining us today is City Manager Ed Zerker and other local dignitaries, including Mesa Mayor John Giles, Councilman Claude Maddox, former Councilwoman Peggy Neely, former Tempe Mayor Hugh Hallman, former Phoenix Councilman Craig Tripkin, former Phoenix Councilman Michael Johnson, former Phoenix Council member Calvin Good, and State Representative Mark Cardenas. Gilbert Mayor John Lewis, Cave Creek Mayor Vincent Francia, Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio, Glendale City Council member Jamie Aldama, Glendale City Council member Sammy Shavira, Avondale Council member Lorenzo Sierra. Now, please welcome Mayor Greg Stanton to begin today's meeting.
Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year, and thank you for being with us today on this very special occasion. Without further ado, let's get started with today's City Council meeting. City Clerk Chris Meyer, will you please call the roll?
Councilman DeCiccio. Councilwoman Gallego. Councilman Gates. Councilman Nowakowski. Councilwoman Pastor. Councilman Waring. Councilwoman Williams. Vice Mayor Valenzuela. Mayor Stanton.
Thank you, City Clerk Meyer. We'll now continue our program with an invocation. Please stand and welcome to the stage Father Fausto Peñafiel of St. Mark's Catholic Church.
Heavenly Father, we have gathered here today to thank you for the opportunity given to these public servants, Mayor Greg Stanton, Councilwoman Thelda Williams, Councilman Bill Gates, Vice Mayor Daniel Valenzuela, Councilman Michael Nowakowski, to take the oath of office to be of service to our city and community. Help them and guide them to deal with the many challenges ahead, and with the assistance of the people who work with them, allow them to continue to make Phoenix the great city it is. Make of their lives a gift to others, so that in performing the duties entrusted to them, they may listen to the voices of the people they have elected them and call them to serve in their elected posts. We ask this in God's name. Amen.
Thank you, Father Peñafiel, for filling in today for Father Rittery, who unfortunately was unable to be with us today. Now, please continue standing for the posting of the colors by the Phoenix Police and Fire Honor Guard. They will be joined by local singer and songwriter Colette Watson, who will sing the national anthem, and Jocelyn Gallegos, a student at the Foundation for Blind Children, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Honor guard, attend, huh! Calibrate, coach. Pipe major, by your command, sir. Honor guard, forward, turn.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free in the home of the brave?
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
By your command, sir.
Let's give another round of applause to local singer-songwriter Colette Watson for her beautiful performance of the national anthem, and to Jocelyn Gallegos, a student at Foundation for Blind Children, for leading the Pledge of Allegiance. You may now be seated. Now it is time for Mayor Greg Stanton to take his oath of office. Please welcome to the stage Phoenix Municipal Court Chief Presiding Judge B. Don Taylor III, who will administer the oath of office along with Mayor Stanton's wife, Nicole.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Greg Stanton,
I, Greg Stanton,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the state of Arizona,
of the state of Arizona,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and defend them against all enemies,
and defend them against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially discharge the duties of the office of mayor
discharge the duties of the office of mayor
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Now, please welcome Councilwoman Thelda Williams and her husband Mel, and grandsons Matthew, Ben, and John, Councilman Bill Gates and his wife Pam, Vice Mayor Daniel Valenzuela and his daughter Danielle, and Councilman Michael Nowakowski, his wife Delia, and children Michael, Irene, Carlos, Raymond, and Angel, who will join Mayor Stanton on stage for the oath of office.
Close to the mic, so Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Thelda Williams,
Bill Gates,
Daniel Valenzuela.
Michael Nowakowski.
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the state of Arizona,
of the state of Arizona,
and I will bear true faith
and that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same,
and defend them against all enemies,
and defend them against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office of City Council Member
of the office of City Council Member
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, you're official.
At this time, please welcome Councilwoman Thelda Williams to share her remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I also want to take this opportunity to thank you for supporting my campaign. It was a tough campaign, I'll tell you. I hear a few snickers here. If you remember, I started early and then I had a great big oops and restarted again. But thanks to all of you, campaign went well and I didn't have an opponent, so thank you. You know, it seemed like the election just got over and the next thing I knew I was up to here in Alligators. The RPTA CEO gave me a bit of a surprise. So I have been working very diligently to restructure that organization to make sure that it's on a very sound policy and procedure practice, as well as restructuring it so that physically you can be able to go online and look up any project that we're doing and you'll see if it's on target, if it's on budget, if it's over budget, and how it's proceeding. It's very important to get that straightened out because 104 passed, and the transportation tax is very important. I am a big supporter of building the light rail from Baseline to Metro Center, as everybody knows. And I want to see that project stay online, on target in the president's budget, and to get it expedited as quickly as possible. But the biggest part of 104 is the buses. You can't have a good transportation system, and Phoenix may be the 6th largest city, but we do not have a great transportation system without buses. Buses are the entire backbone of the system. I want to see those buses up, running, see them every 15 minutes, see them coordinated so you can catch another bus or you can connect to light rail and keep on going and get to where you need to go as fast as possible. But the third part of 104 are streets. Our streets are in very, very poor condition, and I want to see them rebuilt. And I mean arterial streets as well as to the neighborhood streets. But I also know as part of infrastructure needs, we need new water lines. City of Phoenix has over 7,000 miles of water lines and over 50,000 fire hydrants. And we have to ensure that those lines are always carrying clean water. It's there when you turn the tap on. It's there when the firemen need it. And we need to start replacing lines. And you're going to hear more and more about it as the year goes on. But I'm also very interested in maintaining Arizona's water supply because I am working with the state. I work with the other cities because we need to ensure that Arizona continues to get its fair share of Colorado River water. We need to make sure that the watershed in the mountains comes down so SRP continues to flow, so that our 8 different water treatment plants can function in the most economical and fastest manner it can to produce the water to you and your families. But I want to make darn sure it's all coordinated because nothing irks me more than pave a new street and have you tear it up and put a water line in. So I'm going to work very closely to make sure all of that happens. And in my spare time, I plan to work to continue to reduce domestic violence. I want to make sure that the homeless men and women on the street who have dogs have a place that they can go. We know they won't be separated from their animals when it's super cold. So we need to find a way to provide them shelter when it's so cold in the winter. And I'm also going to be working on a tethering bill because over 6,000 calls come in to our police department this year of animal abuse. And a very large number of those were animals that had been chained up, wrapped around a tree, had no shade, no water. And we need to fix that problem. But I thank you for all your support. And I will tell you, I will promise you this. I will do my very best to spend your dollars wisely. I will work diligently to keep your neighborhood safe. I will continue to look to retain and to grow new job opportunities. And I will ensure that your parks and your preserves maintain the highest quality so that you can always enjoy Phoenix's wonderful sunshine and outdoor air. It's the best city in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Williams. Next, please welcome District 3 Councilman Bill Gates.
Colleagues, family, friends, and residents of Phoenix. You know, in December of 2007, beginning in December 2007, the Great Recession hit the city of Phoenix hard. We had over 400,000 jobs that disappeared in Arizona. and we had property values that plummeted, leaving 67% of mortgages underwater. And amazingly, a few years later, there is a new Phoenix rising. We are now undergoing one of the strongest periods of redevelopment in the history of this city. We're seeing in downtown more people moving to downtown than we've seen in decades. And in particular, the warehouse district is one of the hottest areas for new development. I want to thank Councilwoman Gallego for making that a priority of hers. But it's not just downtown. Up in the Midtown area, in Councilwoman Pastor's district, they have had 1 million square feet of office space that has been filled just since the end of 2014. And we also have heard about the explosive growth at Grand Canyon University in Vice Mayor Valenzuela's district. As well, we have heard out in Councilman Williams' district, there is a renaissance of sorts that's going on in Metro Center. And in my district, District 3, we've had growth and new businesses popping up along the North 32nd Corridor, in Moon Valley, and in the North Mountain business area. So what's driving all this? Well, a lot has been written about how millennials are looking to live in vibrant urban areas, and also that they want to be able to walk or bike to work and play. And then at the same time, we have a large number of baby boomers who are not looking forward to a retirement in Sun City with shuffleboard. They're looking for a lot of the same things that the millennials are. And city government has played a big part in this redevelopment as well. ASU downtown and the biomedical campus have added new vibrancy to downtown. And I want to thank our former Mayor Gordon and then Councilman Stanton for supporting those two projects. Of course, not to be left behind, Councilman Waring and Mayor Stanton are working together to create a new biomedical campus near Desert Ridge that's anchored by Mayo. So there's a lot going on. And what's really exciting to me is that the real engine for this redevelopment is the private sector. A great example of that is Portland on the Park. It's a 14-story project located right next to Margaret Hans Park. A project of that size at that location a few years ago would have been unthinkable. You know, I'm really inspired by this new Phoenix that we see rising around us. And I'm inspired by our residents who are taking a big part in this redevelopment effort. You know, over the past few years, we've seen an explosion of our residents on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I have thousands of residents in District 3 that are on Nextdoor.com. And they're going on there and they're not waiting to see what kind of development comes to their area. They're demanding it. They're telling us what they want. And also, social media is a great tool for us to communicate with our residents. But, of course, social media is no substitute for meeting face-to-face with folks. That's something that we're all focused on here on the City Council. And in fact, in the fall of 2015, my team and I attended over 100 community meetings and events in District 3. And what they told us along the North 32nd Corridor is that they want to see those vacant spaces replaced with new local restaurants and family-friendly businesses. So we've been supporting that effort. For those of you who are familiar with 32 Shea, one of the best restaurants out in that area, it actually opened in what used to be an old photo mat. And Oso Brewery, another popular restaurant, opened in an old plant nursery. And along North 32nd, the old Aussie Ice, which has been closed for years, is soon going to be reopened as a rock climbing gym. And the old bowling alley that was closed at 32nd Street in Shea will soon open as an airsoft arena. Airsoft is paintball without the paint. And I've got some breaking news for you today. All of us, all the members of the council, we're going to participate in an airsoft battle at the, maybe some of them haven't heard about it yet, but we're going to have a battle there, and the winner will become our next vice mayor. And I'll tell you what, I've got my money on Thelda Williams. Now, over in the Moon Valley area, we heard from our residents that they wanted more grocery opportunities. So we worked with the property owners at 7th Street and Thunderbird, and now we have a renovation and expansion of the Safeway that's going on. And a little ways to the north, we have the largest Fry's marketplace in the state of Arizona that is rising from the ashes of the Lund Cadillac on Bell Road. Now, in Sunny Slope, when Food City moved out of there, we heard some real concerns about that. They said it left a real opening in that area. So we worked with the property owners at Central and Dunlap, and we were able to recruit a new Walmart neighborhood market into that area, which has really been embraced by the community. And of course, Paradise Valley Mall is an area that we hear a lot about in District 3, and we've been listening. I think you're going to be very excited about what is to come at Paradise Valley Mall in 2016 and in the years ahead. So with all this private investment coming into the city of Phoenix, what is the role of local government? Well, it's very simple. It's to keep our residents safe. That's why public safety is my #1 priority. And I'm proud to say that since 2009, the crime rate in this city has actually gone down, even though we have 500 fewer officers than we did at the high point a few years ago. So that is an amazing accomplishment by our police officers. And I also want to congratulate our chairman of the Public Safety Subcommittee, Michael Nowakowski. And as well, I want to thank our block watchers and our Phoenix Neighborhood Patrol members for this great effort. Let's give them all a big round of applause. And you know, we really appreciate all of our first responders in Phoenix, our police officers, our firefighters, our park rangers. And we also appreciate those employees who were veterans of the armed services. And I want to give special recognition to Councilman DeCiccio, who recently hired a veteran, Craig Doyle, as his chief of staff. So our challenge in the new Phoenix is how do we recruit talented people to come to work for the city while still living within our means? Well, there's no question that we have to continue forward with our efficiency efforts. And I want to thank our employees and private sector members who have worked with us over the past few years to identify over $103 million in efficiency savings. And that's moving forward on an annual basis. But we need to press forward further. We need to identify additional savings from energy efficiency, from using technology to more efficiently do our jobs, and we need to pursue additional pension reform both at the city and state level to give us those savings that we need moving forward. As we look at the future, I am so thankful to be here today. I am so thankful that I've been elected for a third time as the councilman from District 3. I want to thank my campaign team and my volunteers. I want to thank my staff in the District 3 office, my chief of staff, Laura Etter, Dominic Papa, and Rose Ferguson for providing the very best constituent service in the city of Phoenix. My colleagues might disagree with that, but I'm very proud of the work that they do for us, and of course, my family. I want to thank them. I want to thank my mom and dad for their love and support over the years and for always encouraging me to pursue my dreams. I also want to thank my wife, Pam. Pam, I love you. You are my best friend, and you make me a better person. And to our daughters, Emily and Corinne, I love you, girls, and thank you every day for making me laugh and making me proud. I am so excited about the new Phoenix that is rising around us, and I feel so fortunate to be a part of this city council at a time of true transformation in this city. We have a talented mayor and city council, an exemplary city manager, and a strong supporting staff. If we use technology to do our jobs better and more efficiently, if we live within our means, and if we provide great customer service to our residents, our potential is unlimited. I can't wait to see the heights that this new Phoenix will rise to in 2016 and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Gates. Next, please welcome from District 5, Vice Mayor Daniel Valenzuela.
First, I'd like to thank my family. Reverend Peñafiel, Mayor Stanton, Council Members Williams, Waring, Gates, Pastor, DeCiccio, Nowakowski, and Gallego, who honor me every day simply by being a colleague, and to our City Manager, Ed Zerker, and our 14,000 city employees who meet the needs of the residents of Phoenix every single day. To former mayors and council members who have served our city so well. To the elected officials from across the valley and other levels of government whom we are eager to collaborate with in support of our constituent needs. To all of you gathered here today, and most importantly, to the people of the city of Phoenix. 4 years ago, when we gathered here for this event, I was the newest member of the Phoenix City Council, and at the time, I was in awe and maybe a bit intimidated. I walked into this ornate building. There's an empty seat with my name on it on the stage, and I'm before an audience, a very large audience, kind of like this one here, very big. In fact, prior to that day, the only time I came close, and I mean close, to being before a crowd of a comparable size was when I was working to help put out a large industrial fire. So maybe I was a little intimidated and apprehensive. Because 4 years ago, when we were still emerging from the worst economic downturn since the Depression of the 1930s. With the resulting high unemployment rate and record bankruptcies, the city of Phoenix had endured several years of severe budget challenges. A hiring freeze was in place, and cutbacks to programs and infrastructure improvements that are critical to a vibrant city ensued. While we still face challenges today, as our economy slowly improves, it is fair to say that we are turning the corner. Today is a cause for a celebration. And as high as an honor as it is for me to take this oath today, I'm not talking about a personal celebration. It's a celebration for our great city. A city on the move. A city made great by its great people. Those who not only entrust us with this office and its duties, but who inspire us. 4 years ago, we needed some inspiration. We needed to be inspired by people like Ceci Melendez. As a mother of two, Ceci already had a full-time job, but 4 years ago, as we sat on this stage, she decided to take on a new job by starting a small bakery business out of her home. In her first year, she sold about $2,000 of cookies. And with her modest success, she began to dream of owning her own bakery. And it was a dream she was able to pursue thanks to Fuerza Local, a spinoff of Kimber Landing's Local First Arizona. Through its Business Accelerator program, funded in part by grants from the city of Phoenix, Ceci not only sharpened her baking abilities, but also developed the skills essential to any successful business. Today, 4 years later, Cake Art Studio is located in the West Valley. It is a thriving business. It has 6 employees and services a major contract with AJ's Fine Foods. Across our city, with the help and support of nationally ranked co-working spaces and incubators such as Cahoots and SeedSpot, and soon Denver-based Galvanize, who responded to our recruitment efforts. Our Yes PHX movement is making Phoenix the hotbed for entrepreneurs, for tech, and for innovation. Ceci Melendez reminds us that an entrepreneur and their dreams come in all forms, whether it is a software company or a bakery, which creates jobs and contributes to our tax base, allowing us to provide services that quality of life that Phoenicians deserve. Ceci, please stand so we can celebrate you today. Barely a month goes by when we don't have a reason to celebrate our outstanding community partnership with Grand Canyon University. For example, later this week, the new City of Phoenix GCU golf course will reopen with the GCU investment of more than $10 million to improve the golf course, saving taxpayers more than $250,000 annually and preserving it as a public course. Another unique partnership is the GCU City of Phoenix Crime Safety Initiative, a 15-year, $1.5 million commitment by GCU to fund concentrated patrols in the neighborhood. The crime rate in the Canyon Corridor neighborhood has declined an astounding 31%. As these partnerships take hold and we watch the tremendous growth of the GCU campus, it is sometimes easy to overlook the fact that GCU is producing high-quality graduates who are joining the workforce and contributing to our city and our region. Liliana Martinez is just one example. A first-generation college student who grew up in West Phoenix, Liliana took a full course load, was active in a variety of civic causes, and also served as an interpreter for patients at the Wesley Health Center. So it was both her classroom learning and community service that prepared Liliana for her current work and responsibilities. Today, she continues to pay it forward at the CASA Academy, where she is office manager at this K-3 school. Liliana Martinez, we are celebrating you today, as well as GCU, ASU Downtown and ASU West, Maricopa Community Colleges, and all of our institutions of higher learning that contribute to our economic growth and quality of life. Lily, please stand so we can honor you today. As I mentioned earlier, 4 years ago, the City of Phoenix had a hiring freeze. Even though our landmass as a result of annexation had surpassed the city of Los Angeles, Phoenix had not hired a new police officer in several years. Simply put, we needed more police officers. Someone who wasn't willing to wait for the freeze to end was Christian Aguilar. More than anything else, 4 years ago, Christian wanted to be a Phoenix police officer, but the hiring freeze wasn't going to allow that anytime soon. So Christian enrolled in our Phoenix Police Reserve Program. The program provides the very same training and certifications required of all Phoenix police officers. The difference is our reserve officers are volunteers who supplement the efforts of our paid patrol officers. I often hear people tell me, you couldn't pay them enough to be a police officer. Can you imagine folks stepping up and volunteering their time to do so? And that is exactly what this young man did. As a result of our aggressive pursuit of federal grants in the past 4 years, along with a wise investment of local tax dollars, we were able to finally lift the hiring freeze. And I ask you, who better to hire than someone who, as a volunteer, put their life on the line for all of us? Officer Aguilar is an official member of the Phoenix Police Department, along with approximately 160 others who have joined the force in the past 4 years. Officer Aguilar isn't here today for a reason I know you all appreciate. He is on patrol. I ask you to join me in celebrating Christian as well as all of our first responders who keep us safe every single day. Marvin Rochelle is one of the city's most dedicated public transportation advocates. As a resident of West Phoenix, Marvin is well aware of the importance of mass transit in the community, where 4 out of the top 6 busiest bus routes in the valley traverse. A member of the Maryvale Village Planning Committee, Marvin pushes for transit options in a community where it is needed. 4 years ago, at this event, an upgraded and expanded Maryvale Transportation Center was just a set of draft blueprints in search of funding. But Marvin and others were relentless in advocating on behalf of this important community investment. The new Desert Sky Maryvale Transit Center, which opened just last month, is now serving as a hub for West Valley commuters, and it is already the second busiest transit center in the valley, second only to the ridership at the Central Station here in downtown Phoenix. But Marvin didn't stop there. 4 years ago, the Northwest Light Rail extension along 19th Avenue wasn't slated for construction for another 7 years. Now it'll be open in just 75 days on March 19th, connecting over 300 businesses, 7 schools, 2 hospitals. Thousands of residents along a new segment of the 26 miles of existing light rail and the 42 miles that are on the drawing boards. And again, it was Marvin and other transportation advocates who led the charge in the community, serving as a valuable resource as planning for the extension led to its construction. Marvin doesn't just talk a good game, he almost exclusively uses public transportation himself. As he did today, Marvin uses the light rail in his frequent visits to City Hall to attend meetings. And in a moment, I'll ask Marvin to stand so you can see this remarkable man. He may not be able to see you because Marvin is visually impaired and physically challenged. Today, we celebrate Marvin Rochelle as an example of the thousands of Phoenicians who love their city and won't let much stand in the way of doing whatever they can to make it great. Mr. Rochelle, please raise your hand so we can honor you again. So be they a community activist, an entrepreneur creating jobs, a student pursuing their dream, or someone who is simply busy raising their family, paying their taxes, and playing by the rules. There are countless stories in our city that we can celebrate. Stories that inspire us. That's the wonderful thing about this job. True, my colleagues and I have the opportunity to work with accomplished and high-profile business leaders and community leaders, and many of whom have joined us here today. But it's the folks you don't know, who don't get their name in the newspaper, that I enjoy working with and for just as much, if not more. Individuals whose contributions and accomplishments might be modest and perhaps even unheard of, but taken collectively are invaluable to our progress and what makes Phoenix a world-class city. So today, we celebrate with a greater sense of optimism than 4 years ago. New businesses are opening and creating jobs, massive developments are underway. We have more police officers on the street and are forming creative community partnerships to attack crime. When partisan bickering in Washington results in delays over several years to renew transportation funding measures, this council, and with the support of the community, is making the decision to invest in our infrastructure. But this government and our work isn't about us. It's about people like Marvin, Liliana, Ceci, and Christian. People who inspire me and should inspire all of us. It is about all of you. Fortunately, in a city of 1.6 million, we will never run out of inspiration. I'm so very grateful for the opportunity to serve the people of Phoenix for another term, and I can't wait to see just what progress we will be celebrating and who we will be celebrating 4 years from now. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Valenzuela. Next, please welcome District 7 Councilman Michael Nowakowski.
Welcome and bienvenidos todos to this great celebration of our inauguration. You know, this morning when I woke up, my kids for Father's Day bought me this calendar with different phrases and sayings. And when I was reading today's phrase, it's appropriate for today and for all of my colleagues. It states that no leader is greater than the example found in a person who leads with God's direction and love. What an appropriate phrase for today, isn't it? You know, I want to start off by thanking God for blessing me and bestowing this honor of serving for 8 years as a council member for District 7. I'd like to thank my staff, Layla, Felicita, and Jessica. Your hard work, dedication, and passion are why we get results. Furthermore, I want to thank Paul Chavez, Bill and Maria Barquin, and all the staff at Radio Campesina for their support and encouragement. A special thank you to the 14,000 employees of the City of Phoenix that protect and serve our community through numerous quality programs, such as our Head Start program, which I'm a product of, all the way through the range of different programs from our senior centers and all the different programs we have from the City of Phoenix. Thank you all for everything you do. You are a fine example of servant leadership, and I thank you for making our city better and the best place to live, play, and work. Furthermore, the city cannot thrive without thanking all the volunteers. A deep appreciation to all those volunteers who serve on our villages, our boards, and our commissions, and who are dedicated their time and efforts in keeping our neighborhoods safe and clean. I'd like to thank you for everything you do for our neighborhoods and for our community. I have served District 7 for the last 8 years in one of the most diverse districts, representing parts of Maryville, Estrella, Levine, South Mountain, and downtown Phoenix. It's been an incredible journey, and District 7 is flourishing, folks. In Maryville, 7 years ago, we used a Team Phoenix approach to save Desert Sky Mall from closing their doors by bringing a brand new concept to the mall that reflects the needs of the community. Also, the community out there in Maryville was saying that we needed a new transit station. And just last month, we opened a brand new transit station right there at Desert Sky Mall. And if you have the opportunity to go out there and see this beautiful transit station, it's a work of art. especially at nighttime. It looks like a piece of art. Also, 3 years ago, the Public Safety Subcommittee, we began the first pilot program in Maryville for body cameras. And now this program is fully implemented citywide. Thank you, Chief Yonner, for all your efforts and support in making this possible. In Estrella, we continue to attract major employers that bring quality jobs such as Amazon, Living Spaces, Tuesday Morning, and many more. We also have a new precinct out there in that area because of such a large growth of population. In the Levine area, we continue to fight for our fair share of resources and infrastructure. One of the major priorities I had when I first took office was to advocate and to fight for the South Mountain Freeway, the 202. And I am proud to say that 8 years later, that we, after many stakeholders and community meetings, are going to be breaking ground this year with the freeway, the 202 freeway, which is going to bring so many amenities, a full-blown hospital, malls, movie theaters, restaurants to that area that's much needed. And in South Phoenix, we were able to bring Avenida Rio Salado, one of the largest street construction projects, to Broadway Road that goes from 51st Avenue to 7th Street. The project will be completed in about 2 years, but this is something that will beautify this area and connect the people from the South Mountain Freeway to downtown. I'm also proud to lead an effort in naming Broadway Road after a great American hero and civil rights leader, Martin Luther King Jr. Thank you, Kate. I'm also excited about the much-needed light rail connection that will be connecting South Phoenix from Central Avenue all the way to Baseline Road. Thank you for all those individuals that have voted for Prop 104. At the beginning of my term of office, great things were happening in downtown Phoenix, like ASU, Cityscape, and the completion of the expansion of the convention center. I knew that there would be a need for additional housing, and I envisioned that there would be a need for at least 4,000 units of housing, and I'm happy to say that we are working hard to meet that need by this coming year. In addition, I envision a more virus downtown that'll attract people from all over the valley to be a part of this thriving downtown area. Recently, Roosevelt Row received an award, the Phoenix First Great Place. This award was given by the American Planners Association. Those are all the city planners throughout the country saying that Roosevelt Road is a great place to be. And I want to thank all those individuals, all those artists, all the community that came together to really create what we have downtown right now, a vibrant cultural community. Thank you so much. And also all those individuals down Grand Avenue from 7th Avenue to 15th Avenue. If you haven't been down Grand Avenue, you won't recognize it. It's beautiful. Thank you all. Our vibrant downtown has attracted events such as the Super Bowl, college football championships, baseball's all-star games, and many more. It has also attracted quality companies that want to call Phoenix home. And yes, we cannot reach our goal and celebrate our accomplishments without the Team Phoenix approach. That's bringing the community. That's bringing the city. That's bringing the private sector all together to make this all happen. And this is all possible because of all your help. Thank you so much. District-wide, my office has been instrumental in bringing together communities by the Take Back Your Neighborhood program, Movies in the Park, the Memorial Day event honoring our fallen police officers and firefighters. And we created a Heroes Lane down Baseline Road from 35th Avenue to 51st Avenue, and also in Central Phoenix from 7th Street to 7th Avenue, with the 48 fallen police officers and firefighters, our heroes of the city of Phoenix, with their pictures, and thanking them and their families for their service. Thank you all for allowing your loved ones and for being those leaders in our community. We also had crime summits, historic neighborhood summits, and many more community engagement events. As I mentioned before, this is all possible with the dedicated staff who work day and night to make these crazy ideas I come up with happen. So thank you once again, all of our staff, for making these things happen. In conclusion, I have been able to serve District 7 because of the love and support of my family. I want to thank my in-laws first, la señora Ortega. Gracias por todo que hace para nuestra familia, especialmente para mí. Hace 4 años que se murió mi mamá y pues usted pues tomaste el lugar de ella, ¿no? Dándome los consejos, apoyándome y ayudándome con mi familia y con mis hijos. Gracias por todo que haces. And also I want to thank my brother-in-laws and my sister-in-laws, Danny Ortega, Hilda Rosales, Carlos, Fernie, Gracie, Ricardo, and Estela, for always being there to support me, but most of all, to support my children when I can't be there for those football games, or when I can't be there for those practices, or for those student council meetings. Thank you for all your support and all your love. My sister Rosita and Monica, your support and unconditional love is very important to me, and thank you so much. All my nephews and nieces and everyone who comes and helps out, thank you. There's about 200 of them, so you talk about a team Nowakowski, that's a big team. Thank you. And I also want to a special thanks to my brother Martin. He's truly, truly a special man. Anytime I need help, it doesn't matter what time of the night or day it is, I call my brother and he's always there to help me. He's always there to advise me and give me and calm me down when sometimes I get upset about things. And I just want to thank you, Martin, for always being there for me, for loving me, and for being a good brother. God bless you and thank you. And I can't leave out my in-laws, Rachel, Valentin, Robert, Ray. Thank you all for all your support and welcome to this crazy family of ours. And my wife and my 6 children, Victor, Michael Ray, Carlos Raul, Irene, Raymond, and Angel. You know, you might not realize, but you too give a big contribution to the city of Phoenix in changing the quality of lives for people here. I don't think you understand that when you give up time from your dad and you allow me to go to all these crazy meetings and be a part of all these crazy events, that you are a part of this change, the change that we have here in the city of Phoenix. So I want to thank you all, my children, for their sacrifice, for allowing me to be the servant leader that I am. Thank you, mijo and mija. And my soulmate, Delia, she's not just a wife and a mother, she also is a part of the community and a community leader. And she does it with a smile all the time. I don't know how she does it. You know, she just completed 15 years of serving on the City of Phoenix Parks and Rec Board. And I want to thank you, Delia, for all your service in making our parks and our rec centers the best in the country. Thank you for those 15 years of service. And babe, I love you un chingo. My mother and dad taught me that in order to be successful in life, you have to have God first, your family second, and your community third. And that has been the key to my success in life. And I pass that on to you all, to always have God first, always have your family second to support you and to pick you up when everything else fails. They're always there for you. And the reason that we're here on earth is to serve our community. Dad, I want to thank you for teaching me that faith is the foundation and life is built on values. Thank you for teaching me that hard work and sacrifice is the key to success. And finally, I want to thank you for being the example of being a spiritual man, a father, and a servant leader. And that's what I am today. Thank you, Dad, for everything you've done. And 4 years ago, today, we had a tragedy in my family as my mother had an aneurysm to the brain on New Year's Eve, and we rushed her to the hospital, and they basically just gave her about 48 hours to live. And it was today, matter of fact, that we had to make a decision of either having my mother live as a vegetable for the rest of her life or to pull the plug. And my family, and I didn't want to come to my inauguration 4 years ago. And my father and my brother and my sisters and my family said, no, we have to go. We're all going. And my cousin Letty stayed behind. And I prayed to God, and I said, God, am I doing the right thing of leaving my mom to come to inauguration? Am I being selfish? And during the inauguration, my cousin Letty turned up Channel 11 at the hospital, at St. Joseph's Hospital. And during the speech, I was giving thanks and telling my mom how much I love her and miss her, and I wish she was here. And they said that she sat up and smiled, and then she laid back down. And that was the last reactions we had from my mother. And then she passed away the following day. And that was probably one of the hardest moments of my life. And I know that during this last term, that Mayor Greg Stanton lost his father also. And during this last term, Thelda Williams lost a daughter, and I lost a mother. And I want to thank you all, everyone that's out there, for all your thoughts and prayers for all of us. Because it was those thoughts, it was those prayers, and that support from you all that kept us going. So I want to thank you. And I remember my mom always would say that service to others is an obligation. She taught me that we need to put others first, because putting others first is putting God first. And her example is my daily inspiration. And I love you, Mom, and I miss you. God bless you all, and thank you.
At this time, to deliver his inaugural address, please welcome our Mayor, Greg Stanton.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. A great day in our city. Mayors and council members, elected officials, honored guests, and friends of Phoenix, thank you all for joining us today in this historic Orpheum Theater as we begin a new chapter in our city's history. To my spectacular wife, Nicole, and our beautiful children, Trevor and Violet, thank you for being the best, most supportive family a husband and dad could ask for. And Dad, thank you for being here. I'm so grateful that you and Mom taught the Stanton kids the value of public service. To my outstanding campaign manager, Lisa Fernandez, thank you for your leadership in running an exceptional campaign. You, your team, and our volunteers, they did a great job. And to my campaign chair, Gail Knight, I'll always value your friendship and wise counsel. My reelection is not a victory of one person or one party or one ideology. Rather, it is faith in our shared vision for the future. For 4 years now, we have worked together to lift the people of Phoenix from the ashes of an economic tailspin that shook the very foundation of our community. Our common purpose has been to build a city with opportunity for everyone willing to work for it. A city with real economic possibilities for middle-class families and those working their way into the middle class. A city that meets its duty to foster a high quality of life with safe neighborhoods and clean air. A city with the basic guarantee that we will welcome and treat every single person with dignity and respect. Over these last few years, we've understood that although we stand on the shoulders of great leaders who came before us, we are the creators of our own destiny. We are thinking anew about what role a city must play in shaping our best possible future, embracing a new reality that city leaders must take on unprecedented responsibilities to chart the right course for our economy. And we know that the course that we are charting is not one for the next 4 years, but one for the next 4 decades. It hasn't always been easy, but we are making great progress because of our bold choices. We began by leading the way to move beyond the failed economic model of the past that made us more vulnerable than ever to the boom then bust economic cycle. We're shaping an economy that works for everyone, one rooted in innovation and focused on growing exports, one that puts us in the best possible position to compete and lead globally. Together, we made a direct investment to make the St. Joseph's University of Arizona Cancer Center and the ASU Center for Law and Society a reality. We've made direct city investments in our downtown biomedical campus, and we're excited about the future as we plan the 1,000-acre Arizona Biomedical Corridor up in North Phoenix. Together, we've championed entrepreneurs and built an innovative ecosystem that is driving new startup activity. Homegrown companies are following WebPT's lead, expanding and adding new jobs right here in Phoenix. And our success is drawing the attention of established tech companies. Rising tech stars, including Gainsight and Galvanize, will set up shop right here in Phoenix as well. And just as important, we're strengthening our ties with our friends and neighbors in Mexico. So many of us have made a personal commitment to rebuild ties with a critical economic partner that we, for too long, took for granted. After more than a dozen trade missions to Mexico and our work to lead the way to open up a Phoenix trade office in Mexico City, the tide is turning. And we're doing something that no other city in our state has ever done, giving local small businesses the tools they need to export on a global scale. We're sending Phoenix companies to Export Boot Camp, where they learn how to expand their businesses across international borders. Though we have accomplished so much, this isn't the time to rest. This work isn't for our next election, it's for our next generation. And I'm committed to work every single day with my colleagues on the City Council and our business community to create great jobs and build the most prosperous and most sustainable economy that we have ever seen here in Phoenix. And as we reshape our economy, we're also preparing our infrastructure for the future. Phoenix residents drafted and voters overwhelmingly approved one of the most ambitious and game-changing infrastructure investments in the nation. Voters said for the future that we want, we need better roads and we need a more robust public transportation system. Now it's up to us to implement that plan, tripling the light rail system, expanding bus routes and dial-a-ride, adding 800 miles of new roadways and 1,000 miles of new bike lanes. Soon, we'll begin construction on a new light rail stop near Ability 360, a center that serves so many individuals with disabilities. And you better believe that before I leave office, we're going to break ground on the light rail track to serve the people of South Phoenix. Calvin Good, I see you out there. I'm a believer in public transportation because I know it changes lives. It helped a working father like my dad, who took the Phoenix City bus every single day to his job selling shoes at JCPenney to earn money so he could send his 4 kids to college. It's not just my family, it's tens of thousands of families across our city, helping seniors and students and low-income families and individuals with disabilities get to work, go to school, the grocery store, or a doctor's appointment. And that's what we need, a city that offers access and opportunity for everyone. We also need to be a more sustainable city. Just a few years ago, critics called Phoenix one of the least sustainable cities on the planet. Not anymore. We've created one of the best comeback stories in the world. Think about what we have accomplished together to protect our environment for decades to come. Through smart investments and public-private partnerships, we've become a leading municipality for solar energy, producing 25 megawatts of solar through city-sponsored projects. We're home to the largest fleet of municipal alternative fuel vehicles in the country, larger than Chicago, Los Angeles, and San Francisco combined. We're on track to convert 90,000 city streetlights to LED, all of our streetlights, which will cut energy costs and pollution by more than half. And this just scratches the surface of the work we're doing to become more sustainable. I understand, this council understands, that when it comes to sustainability, cities across the country and the globe have to lead. A city's economic future, and even its credit rating, will depend in part by its preparedness for climate change. But clean air and clean energy, they're only part of the equation. Using water wisely and protecting our future water supply are essential as well. Water is the lifeblood of our economy. And we've seen what can happen when communities fail to prepare for the effects of a changing climate. We're innovating with new ideas to plan for our future. We formed an unprecedented partnership with Tucson water providers to make it easier and more affordable for both cities to access water during times of shortage. We created the Colorado River Resiliency Fund and teamed up with Salt River Project to support watershed improvement projects on forest lands hundreds of miles from Phoenix city limits. Leading on water may be an unconventional role for a city, but we embrace it because we know that a healthy Colorado River is vital to our future. We still have more work to do, and we won't be afraid to invest in the infrastructure we need to responsibly manage our water supply. So we're going to work harder than ever to make Phoenix one of the most sustainable and climate-resilient cities in the world. Every Phoenix neighborhood needs clean air, quality parks, and access to great public transportation. But none of those matters unless our neighborhoods are safe as well. It's no secret that the Phoenix Police Department has fewer officers than it did at the peak of the economy. And our officers have done more with less and have gone the extra mile to protect us. And because of smart budget decisions by this council, we're now in a position to put more officers on the streets and build stronger community trust. By the end of this year, we will add 280 new police officers, including community action officers, to our police department. And as we increase the size of the force, we're also increasing training and resources to give officers the tools they need to respond to any situation they may encounter. It must be our highest priority that every police officer and the citizens they are sworn to protect get home every night safe and sound. Four years ago, this city had some serious structural budget issues. It began with the recession. And even with the recovery, an out-of-balance pension system threatened both the budget and a secure retirement for our city employees. We got to work. And over the last 3 years, we have passed 3 major sets of reforms that will save more than $830 million over the next 25 years. These reforms will keep the funds steady for those in the system and head off an even bigger crisis in the future. We have made a lot of tough decisions, and we would not have been as successful without the commitment of our great city employees and their representatives to get it right. We have done our part, And now we need the state legislature to follow our lead and reform and modernize the public safety retirement system. There's no doubt we've made some difficult choices over the last several years. But you know what? I love my job. I love serving as your mayor. Wherever I go, when I'm asked about what I like best about our city, the answer is an easy one: the people. I'm proud of how diverse we are and how we welcome people with open arms. I'm proud that during a time of heated and divisive political rhetoric on a national stage, Phoenix remains a welcoming home to one of the largest communities of refugees in America. That makes us stronger. I'm proud of what this city has done to become the first in America to end chronic homelessness among our military veterans, and how we're on track to put all veteran homelessness at functional zero. I'm proud that when the state legislature was considering a bill to legalize discrimination, this Phoenix City Council stood tall and passed a human rights law to prohibit discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation or disability. Because of that action and many others, Phoenix has earned national recognition as a leader on LGBT issues and became the first Arizona city to earn a perfect score on the Human Rights Campaign's Municipal Equality Index. And we will continue to lead the way because we believe that every person deserves to be treated with respect and kindness. In our city, being pro-people and pro-business are one in the same. In our city, the doors of opportunity will always be open. Everything we have accomplished would not be possible without these great city council members, and I am fortunate to have wonderful, wonderful partners. Thelda Williams, Michael Nowakowski, Bill Gates, Jim Waring, Sal DiCiccio, Daniel Valenzuela, Laura Pastor, Kate Gallego, and our incredibly talented city employees. And I want to say to all of you that I'm ready to keep working towards our shared vision. I'm ready to keep working to shape a future for Phoenix that is brighter for our children and their children. And I'm ready to do it together, to build a city with real opportunity for everyone, a sustainable city, a safe city, and one that welcomes and lifts up every person who enters it. Let that be our goal. Let that be our guiding light. And let that be our legacy for generations to come. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for coming to this inauguration. The next 4 years are going to be great.
Once again, congratulations to our Mayor, Greg Stanton, and City Council members. And now for our closing, please welcome and enjoy this performance from Fiesta Mexicana.